Nigerian government tried to kill Mazinnamdikanu, and he survived and escaped. Navardi returned to Russia. He was immediately arrested and put in jail, solitary confinement. Mazinnamdikanu was minding his own business in Kenya when he was illegally abducted, renditioned to Nigeria, and put in jail, solitary confinement. Same situation. Anybody that cares about democracy, the first thing that comes to mind is not to let Mazinnamdikanu fate become what we just saw. And that's what got me excited. We've been quietly trying to get a coalition of people to actually demand his release. But it's been difficult. But this particular example really made me realize that if anyone has anything that they can contribute towards this man's release, to do it now. Those of you who don't know about Mazinnamdikanu, I'm going to invite Ben to sort of give us a little glimpse as to who he is and why he's doing what he's doing and why all of us should demand collectively and individually for his immediate and unconditional release.
Well, today is a sad day in Nigeria because Mazinnamdikanu remains in solitary confinement. As of today, he has been in solitary confinement since June of 2021. Like Evans rightfully said, he was kidnapped from Kenya, minding his own business. But the fact is, this was not the first time he was kidnapped. He was first kidnapped in 2015 in Nigeria, and he was locked up for 2 years. And later on, he was released. And then there is a failed assassination of Mazinnamdikanu in his own home in Abia State. And miraculously, he escaped that very assassination only by God's grace. So he's alive today. But I want everybody to know, any day Mazinnamdikanu remains in solitary confinement is another day of violation of his fundamental right as a human being, as a father, as a husband, and as a community leader. There is no reason why he should be in prison today, if not for the sake of others. He wasn't fighting for his own. He wasn't fighting for his family. He wasn't fighting in the name of the Kano community. He was fighting for the interests of all. So I believe there's a video that we're going to show you so you can get a taste, a glimpse of some of the things that took place that really, made Mazinnamdikanu to come out in public and began to openly call for the freedom of our people. But before then, there's something happened. You're going to see a different Mazinnamdikanu back in 2013 in Europe. He wasn't campaigning for Biafra. He was not agitating for the freedom of Biafra. He was actually agitating for Nigeria to get better, for the government to take note of the suffering of the masses and do something. Do something so that everybody will benefit. With no mention of Biafra. Until Nigeria failed him. And it was crystal clear that this country is not going anywhere. They are not going to listen. They don't care about their people. Well, if you don't care about Nigerian citizens, I'm going to care about my people. That's when he began to talk about Biafra, to talk about separating from Nigeria, so that every region can develop, at their own pace. So you can make policy and rules that will benefit your people because you know your people. Because there's nothing that holding Nigeria together. These three nations put together to be one nation, and nothing worked. Nothing ever worked, nothing is working, and it will never work. So I want to show that video while he was in London talking about the situation in Nigeria.
The reason why we're here today is to protest the killing of innocent women and children. Those of us in the UK are determined to work with the government for peace. We are determined to work with the international community for peace. But one thing we cannot stomach is a repeat of 1966. What is happening today in Nigeria was the reason why Nigeria fought a bitter civil war for 3 years between 1967 and 1970. If this continues, there will be another civil war in Nigeria. And this time around, no place will be safe in Nigeria. This time around, nobody will be safe in Nigeria. So it is imperative that everybody who has the interest of the country at heart acts now and immediately to stop this nonsense from continuing.
The Nigerian government has its own way of dealing with peaceful gatherings it doesn't like. The day began with a gathering of people come to pray for the release from prison of one of their leaders.
Provide us some evidence that IPOB's a terrorist group. More than 2 years later, still zero. You can't make free speech and freedom of association terrorism. Every single day that he languishes in that solitary confinement is another crime against humanity.
The protest that you saw, where you saw the army shooting people, innocent, unarmed citizens, that took place in 2016. Okay, our people came together, as they have done several years before, okay, to honor their fallen heroes, those that fell in the Biafran Nigerian Civil War of 1967 through 1970. So they gathered, this is a high school. They were not on the street protesting. No. They were not in front of the House of Assembly with placard protesting. No. They were not marching or causing insurrection anywhere. No. They were in a particular place. You have to go through a gate to come into the school premises. That's where they gathered. And that's where the combined forces of Nigerian Army, Air Force, Navy, DSS came in there, took a combat position on the ground, and opened a live ammunition. And at the end of the day, they murdered over 150 young men and women. 150 young men and women. And this was reported by Amnesty International. It was all over the globe. And to make matters worse, they took their body and dumped them in a mass grave where they poured acid on these children so they become unrecognizable. So how could somebody tell me or convince anybody that this is a viable nation that would work for everyone? These are the atrocities that led to the debut of the person of mazinnamdikanu that you hear today. And this young man requested for things to get better, build schools, build roads and bridges, build hospitals, so that our women will have a place they can go and receive a proper medical attention. Build recreational centers, build factories. So as young men and women are graduating from school, they have a place where they can be gainfully employed. They don't want to do any of this. But this country will spend money from the oil revenue to import terrorists from all over the world. Right now, there are more than 5 terrorist groups that operate in the country today. Ansaru is in Nigeria. El-Shabaab is in Nigeria. Mieti Allah operates in Nigeria. Fulani bandits operate in Nigeria. Fulani herders that had been named the fourth deadliest terrorist group in the world by the Global Terrorist Watch of West Africa. These terrorist groups operate in Nigeria, and the government of Nigeria provides an enabling environment for them to thrive, for them to do their bidding. They provide them with logistics, money, arms, and then they send them to the eastern region of Nigeria to kill my people and to destabilize the region. That is their goal. And that's exactly what they're doing now. These are the things that brought out Mazinnamdikanu. If the country was working, you may not know who Mazinnamdikanu is. It wasn't working. And it's never going to work. Not the way the country is presently constituted. When he was out, people say you're calling for war, you want to war, you're causing problem. You know, he said, no. I'm not causing problem. I'm just asking our government, the government to do the right thing by the people. So I'm going to stop here, and you can hear his goals and aspiration.
You're not talking about a federation when you say a confederation. You're not talking about a federation as part of Nigeria. You're talking about total independence.
Absolute independence. Complete independence.
Now, is there anything that can happen that will make you change your mind about this particular direction?
No.
So it is either Biafra or nothing else.
Or death, yes.
Or death.
That's correct.
If push comes to shove,
yes,
will you go to war?
No, because truth is a far more potent and deadlier weapon than bullets and mortars.
So no war. You've ruled out the...
Absolutely, I don't believe in war. No war.
Well, we're going to invite Attorney Jesse to educate us a bit on the legal aspect of the whole thing where we are today. Brother Jess, thank you, brother. There you go.
So, I'm a construction lawyer, and the only time I ever get called on to engage any sort of criminal law is if a client's son or daughter gets in trouble in college. But even the ignoramus construction lawyer knows when something's wrong from a criminal standpoint, and there are just so many wrongs involved with these timelines, and I want you to keep in mind two things that are fundamental, not just here in the U.S., but worldwide for the most part, according to the UN. One is the right to confer with your counsel, or to at least have contact on a consistent basis with your counsel, even if you're in jail, to have that right and have that privilege. Otherwise, how do you prepare a defense? The second is the concept of a right to a speedy trial, meaning you're not to sit and languish, let alone in solitary confinement, when you are awaiting trial or awaiting the process to deliver whether or not you are guilty or innocent. So that's what sticks out most to me when I look at this timeline, and it's truly remarkable. But going back to October 2015, when Mr. Kanu was arrested and detained for over a year, you don't see anything about a trial or a finding of guilty there, right? You just see that he was detained for a year with no outcome. Well, I guess he made bail in April of 2017 and was released, only to be have his home invaded, has been said, in a government failed assassination attempt. So then the process was to kidnap him and torture him for 8 days and then hand him over to the Nigerian government. So here we are, some sort of accusations starting in October of 15, and then we're in June of 2021, 6 years later, without any finding of innocence or guilt, and this is still ongoing. January of 2022, he actually gets a trial, and the Nigerian army was found guilty of the failed assassination attempt in violation of his rights. Now, we've heard in past gatherings from lead counsel for Mr. Kanu that there are occasions where he would fly all the way from the U.S. and not be allowed to meet with Mr. Kanu to prepare a defense. So he would be told to wait and wait and wait and still not receive contact with Mr. Kanu, his client, okay, to prepare a defense to the proceedings and to the charges at hand.